Fireside Tales. Hello, I'm Merlin, Mililli. Welcome to my fireside, where I tell weird tales. We almost always get weird. And I drink coffee. So last week, the show aired on Christmas Eve. This week, Fireside Friday will be New Year's Eve. So by the time we have another Fireside Friday, it will be 2022. Still 2021 now. It's New Year's Eve, 2021. It's going to be 2022. So Happy New Year, everybody. So I drink my coffee from my skull mug because every week here at Fireside Tales, I talk about how I'm a deadhead and how the story of the Grateful Dead is about reincarnation. And every week we've been discussing reincarnation. And every week I tell you the story of the Grateful Dead, which is where the band, the Grateful Dead, got their name. It's a story, a very old story from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And I heard it, as I think it should be told, from a deadhead by a fire. So every week I tell it to you from a deadhead by a fire, as it should be told. I also talked to you about my book in the Akasha, or the Akashic Records. The Akashic Records are records of everyone's souls and their soul's activity. It's a meditative library that you can only reach through meditation. So I've had access to this library since I was a teenager, and now I'm in my 40s. So every week I've been sharing with you, oh no, I have lipstick on both sides. Every week I've been sharing with you what I've, I like it this way, what I've learned from my book. I share with you a little bit every week. And our first episode, I explained to you my connection to the Grateful Dead and why I tell that story every week. And I talked about my very last life, the one right before this one. And then in our second episode, I went all the way back to my very first life in my book in the Akashic Records. And now we've been working our way forward in my book to present day, covering a different life each week. I also discuss every week with you how I'm a psychic medium. I've been able to communicate with the spirit realm since I was a small child. I'm discovering from making this show, actually, that I may have had this same ability in many, if not all, of my past lives as well. So, in the spirit realm, there's a theory about reincarnation. And the spirits theorize that everyone who's been reincarnated has also been murdered. So if you're murdered, then you get to come back and try again. But it's not like a zombie or a, born again Christian. You're born again in another body, in a baby body that grows and has a whole nother life. So, I'm going to tell you the story of the Grateful Dead as I heard it from a deadhead by a fire, as it should be told. Once, long, long ago, there was a traveler. So long ago that she traveled by foot. And she happened upon this little village. Looked quaint from the outside, but as she got closer, she discovered a crowd squabbling. And as she got closer still, she discovered that the crowd was squabbling over a dead body. So she got closer still and found that they were squabbling over the dead man's debts and who was going to bury him. So the traveler thought this was gross. So she paid his debts and she paid for a proper burial. And she prayed over the dead man's body. And she traveled on. And then one day, decades later, she happened upon a life or death situation, the traveler from the beginning of the story. And out of nowhere comes this stranger who just scoops her up and saves her life. She says, "Thank you. Who are you? Where did you come from? Why did you save my life? Thank you." And the stranger says, "I am the Grateful Dead." So it's a story about reincarnation. The person who saves the traveler's life at the end is not a corpse. It's not a zombie. It's a reincarnated person. The dead man watched people squabble over his body and then reincarnated and became this stranger who set out to save the life of the traveler who paid his debts. It's a story about reincarnation. Anyway, so that is the story of the Grateful Dead. So in my book, in the Akashic Records, we went all the way back, like I said, to the very first life I lived in our second episode. And then we've been working our way forward. So we started in ancient Peru in our second episode. And then we talked about interdimensional travel and delays, I guess we could call it, because of interdimensional travel. I had weird lives as well. I had this one life where I had to live in a place called High Earth, and I was a cloud bird for a really long time. And then I found myself in ancient Tibet, ancient Egypt, ancient Sumeria twice, ancient Greece, and then in my book there's this watermark. Apparently I boarded a boat in ancient Greece, setting out for France, England, any of those, but they weren't there. Everything was flooded. The only thing sticking out of the water was Scotland. So I ended up in Scotland, where I was murdered. Then I ended up in then I ended up in Old England, Ireland, and I ended up with another interdimensional travel issue, and I had to be fairy queen in another dimension for what seemed like a really long time. Then I found myself in Byzantium and Constantinople, which are basically the same place, modern day Turkey, two different time periods, two different lives, Byzantium, Constantinople. Then I found myself in France twice. If you want to know any more about these specific lives, you'll have to go back and watch the specific episode on the specific life. So then I ended up in France twice, and twice I was burnt at the stake. Then I ended up in Italy twice, where I lived two rather long lives in comparison to my other lives. Then I ended up in England. And then I ended up in France and America. And then I last left you in Austria. And last week I discussed the life of Mozart. And he died in Vienna in 1791. I know I told you we were going to get weird. Excuse me. It is weird to think that you were Mozart in a past life, especially when now I'm a musician and a composer and no one takes me anywhere near as seriously as they took Mozart. But nonetheless, um, I do believe that that's who I was. And there's a lot of reasons why I believe that. And I discussed them in our last episode. So this is our 18th episode. And today we are going to discuss a life in which I was born in 1791 in Boston, Massachusetts. An Apache girl, forced to blend in. I was a gifted child, gifted singer, and I toured. I think I toured by train, but I found only this omnibus thing, which I think it was a large stagecoach. I think we used that too. But I know I saw my first train in this life. I'd never seen a train before, and it impressed my whole soul, my whole being. And she was just a child when she saw her first train. And they made me wear these big, pretty hats and big, pretty dresses, and I would sing on stage, and then they would take my pretty hat and pretty dress away, and I wasn't allowed to keep it. And I don't think I got paid very well. I remember some arguments, and I remember, I think it was my uncle had come along with me on tour, and people thought he was my servant. And I guess then it was okay. But then when he wasn't my servant and he wanted me to get paid, then it became a problem, and I think we lost all of our jobs. And then I went home back to the Boston area to get married. And I believe I was on tribal lands. And I remember seeing, not houses or even cabins, but teepees and maybe some like small little lodges. But I think they were mostly for the animals, the horses and stuff. But I think I was pregnant, and I had just gotten married, and I was back on tribal lands, and then I was shot in the head by settlers, white man. I was only 18. I had been a child singer, so when I toured, I was just a child. And so I'd had this 18-year gap in my book, and I just kind of left it there. And I was just going to discuss today, I have this 18-year gap, and then just move on to the next notable man that I wanted to discuss. But I thought that's kind of silly, and so I meditated and looked at this specific part of my book. I don't really read my book per se. I meditate, I go there, and I touch the book. And then I have a memory, or 5 or whatever. And yeah, I came out of my meditation holding my head saying, oh, now I know why I didn't want to look at this life, because it was a miserable life. I was treated badly and exploited as a child singer and not paid for my services or given any publicity. She's nowhere in the history books. And she was like a prodigy, and they exploited her for shows and, just put her on display like a monkey. And then, when she wanted to get paid, it was, well. And then, because she was murdered, I think they just conveniently leave that out of the history books, We don't want to get too involved. Nothing to see here. Just a little murder, massacre, maybe a little genocide. We're not going to write that down in history books. That would be crazy. So every week, I also sing Deja Vu, David Crosby's song, Deja Vu. I believe that the song is about reincarnation. So I throw it in every week. The phenomenon of deja vu, I think that comes more from our dreams. When you have those moments where you've seen that before, you've said that before, you've done that before. Those moments, you've been there before. Those little snippets of time, I think they come from our dreams. When you have one of those moments where you've been to a place before, those are past life things. But those snippets, I think those are from our dreams. Anyway, so that. So most of my lives I've actually been a woman or a girl, and when I'm a man, I'm an awkward man, but I seem to live longer as a man. So I came back as a man a number of times after that little good luck streak there in Italy. But then it stopped working out for me so well. So if the spirits theory is right, I've been murdered a lot. Because my book is big and old and dusty, and it's been there a long time. If I had ever been here before, I would probably know just what to do. Don't you? If I had ever been here before and another time around the wheel, I would probably know just how to deal with all of you. And I feel like I've been here before. Feel like I've been here before, and you know, it makes me wonder what's going on. Under the ground. Do you know? Don't you wonder? What's going on down under you? La da da, la da da, la da da da, la da da da. We have all been here before. 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 So, another year behind us. Oh, I hope this year 2022 is a better year than we've had in the past few years. 5 years. I don't know. I could really use a good year. I need some gigs, some money. I don't get paid for any of my shows or my videos or anything really that I do. Right now I do it all for free. I really need to get paid, however, so I really need to make some money this year. So I really need gigs. So if you need a musician who used to be Mozart, maybe I could be your musician. Look me up, Merlin Mililli. I have a website, merlinmililli.com. You can book me there. I'm also all over social media. I have a band called Holy Grail, sort of. I started to get it off the ground, and then the pandemic hit, so it didn't quite work out the way I thought. I also was trying to make the International Festival of Peace happen. Excuse me, here at Mililli Studios in September. The International Day of Peace is in September. I thought we could have a festival in its honor. And I think I am going to do that, but I think now I'm making plans for it to be in 2023. And it sounds way far off, but really not from 2022. So we'll have a whole year to plan and work on that. If you'd like to offer your services as a band or a roadie or a vendor or a speaker on peace or an organization about peace, please contact me, merlinmililli.com. I'm going to put up a whole page at the website about the International Festival of Peace so that you can just contact me through the website about it. But I think it's really important that we work towards peace. We're not doing such a great job these days. Our planet really needs us to call a truce because our planet's really suffering. She's not going to be able to handle fracking and fossil fuels and coal and those things any longer. Really, I think my theory is that if we stopped fracking altogether on the planet, just stopped taking oil out of the planet, that she would stop freaking out. She's freaking out right now. I mean, I have over a foot of snow and a foot due in a couple of days. We don't usually have this much snow. We get snow, but it gets worse every year. And It's, we're getting the fires out here, and then back east, they're getting all the hurricanes and tornadoes in the Midwest and the flooding. And I mean, how many signs does the earth have to give us for us to wake up and realize that we're hurting her? She gives us life and food and helps us grow, and she gives us shelter and everything that we need. But we can't think about her for 1 second over the almighty dollar. If we don't have a planet, the almighty dollar isn't worth anything. We can't all go live at the space station. That is not going to work. And the people that live at the space station can't even live there indefinitely. We can inhabit other planets. This is the one we have. Why are we doing this to her? This 2022 needs to be the year we stop hurting our planet. As a druid, I'm an earth worshiper, but we also have a creed that's do ye no harm. It's so old it has a ye in it. We're in a constant state of harming our planet. And these oil industries have me under their thumb, for instance, because I can't afford an electric vehicle and I have to drive around in a gas guzzling, oil powered combustion, ancient, archaic engine and hurt my planet every time I do it. And it bugs me. But I'm too poor to do anything else. I have to take my kids to school. We only have one bus for every school and all of the children in Mount Shasta schools. Which, by the way, we have kids who live in Weed and kids who live in Dunsmuir who go to school at these schools, and they have one bus. We need to make some serious changes in our world. If we're going to survive, we need to have more buses. We need to stop hurting our planet. Build Back Better plan has electric buses in it. Electric cars, fleets of them. For government workers, for school buses, for city buses. It's a good plan. We were supposed to have it in place already, but Joe Manchin doesn't care about his planet. He cares about coal industry and how they're, lining his pockets. So he's got to, throw up his hands and say, well, we gotta defend coal because gotta keep killing our planet because, who cares if our children's children have a place to live? Joe Manchin won't. He'll be dead soon. Who cares? He doesn't care. I care. I care about my planet. I care about my children's children. I care about the animals. I care about, species that are dying off every day because we're killing our planet. Purposefully. To make a buck. And not everybody's making the buck. It's only the top fat cats in the oil industry. And for what? Did they really need another buck? Wasn't trillions of dollars enough for them? No one's ever needed $1 billion to survive in life. Ever. No one definitely will ever need $1 trillion to their head to live. You don't need that. You need to share that is what you need. In 2022, if you have $1 trillion, try sharing. Because there's a whole bunch of stuff the world needs and some karma you're going to need to fix. I'm sorry, but I really think that I have had it with all the BS, and we need to start taking care of ourselves and our planet and our children and our children's children's children. And I want to, just continue to live in a world that's suitable for children. So, I hope you continue to live in a world that's suitable for children. And Fireside Tales. Thanks for watching. Have a weird and wonderful new year. A Mililli Studios production.